Solo Sikoa just took things in a deep new direction, so we'll see what's new for the Bloodline. We'll also check out what's new for Uncle Howdy, Sister Abigail, and more, starting things off with a big update for the Bloodline. Things picked up for the Bloodline during a backstage segment on the May 10th edition of SmackDown. Paul Heyman walked up to Solo and the Tonga brothers to tell them how he knows his place in life as Roman's wise man, but how Solo can't be making these kinds of decisions. Solo fired back at Heyman right away and surprisingly calls out Paul Heyman and accuses him of lying. Solo says it was Paul Heyman's solo decision to pull Roman Reigns from the WWE draft. Solo's version of that story is different because on night 1 of the draft, Paul Heyman did say that Roman Reigns was making the decision to pull himself out of the draft. But if you read between the lines of Solo calling Paul Heyman a liar about that situation, it sounds like Solo is alluding to the idea that Heyman and Roman had no communication with each other regarding the draft withdrawal. That is something Heyman decided to do all on his own. And if that's true, if Solo's version of the story is what actually happened, then that obviously looks really bad on Paul Heyman. That means that Heyman lied about Roman requesting the withdrawal and made that big move for Roman and the Bloodline without consulting a single soul. And Solo confronts Heyman about those allegations and told Heyman that it was because of that move by him that the Bloodline was picked in the 3rd round, when they absolutely should have been picked 1st overall. Solo presses Paul Heyman on if he's trying to take food off the table from Solo's family, but Heyman denies all those accusations regarding the draft withdrawal. Solo also called out Heyman for signaling out for help to Jey Uso during WWE Backlash. And that's something that we, the audience, definitely know is true because we saw it on screen. The new Bloodline stared at Jey Uso and then walked past him, but it was Paul Heyman who definitely made a face and gesture with his hands to Jey Uso that he had no idea what was going on. And you could say that it was a small outcry for help from Heyman to Jey, so Solo busted Heyman for that as well. But Heyman once again denies that as being a signal for help to Jey Uso. Solo then questioned Paul Heyman on if it's true that he hasn't spoken to Roman Reigns since Roman lost the title at WrestleMania 40. Solo also referring to the undisputed WWE title as our title as well, which was an interesting little detail. But Heyman confirms it and says he hasn't spoken to Roman ever since WrestleMania 40. That's when Solo Sikoa hits Paul Heyman with another big reveal of his own. Solo reveals that he recently spoke to Roman Reigns himself. Solo says Roman gave him full permission to call the shots and run the Bloodline until he gets back, and how Paul Heyman is now Solo's wise man. Solo Sikoa then brought in Paul Heyman for a hug, but was making strange, suspicious faces towards the Tonga brothers that Heyman couldn't see while they were hugging. So, telling by the context of this story and Solo's body language, it seems 100% certain that Solo Sikoa is completely lying about having a recent conversation with Roman Reigns, in which he gave Solo full control over the family. There's no shot at all that Solo had that conversation with Roman Reigns. It's a fabricated story to keep Paul Heyman calmly in check, and extremely manipulative from Solo's part. Since Roman Reigns has gone dark and cut off all communication with Paul Heyman and everyone else for that matter, Solo Sikoa used that advantage to basically lie and tell Heyman whatever he wanted. There's no way for Paul Heyman to cross-check everything Solo Sikoa said, since Roman still isn't talking to anyone at all. So Paul Heyman basically has to just take Solo Sikoa's word for it. But everyone knows he's lying. Lying and telling Heyman that he had permission from Roman just takes away Heyman's jitters, and Heyman can go back to being the wise man, but for Solo Sikoa instead of Roman Reigns. And like we mentioned when Solo first started taking over the Bloodline, it seems like Solo is using tactics and using things that he's learned firsthand from being by Roman's side for the last few years. Solo is using this powerful tool of manipulation, which we know Roman was an expert at using over the last few years. So Solo's putting everything he learned from Roman Reigns to use in order to take over the family. But at the same time, we can't ignore that it seems like Paul Heyman could also be holding in some lies of his own. Heyman has been going around telling Nick Aldis and Solo Sikoa that he hasn't spoken to Roman Reigns at all since WrestleMania 40. But there's been little instances over the last few weeks that makes it seem like Heyman probably could have been in communication with Roman Reigns, like the draft withdrawal, for example. Heyman's initial story was that Roman reached out to him on that night and requested to pull himself out of the draft. But then weeks later, Heyman's going with the narrative that he hasn't spoken to Roman at all since WrestleMania 40. So knowing who Paul Heyman is as a character, his devious nature and history, we can't fully rule out the idea that Paul Heyman could be lying and doing some manipulation of his own on Solo Sikoa. So it's a weird, strange spot right now for the Bloodline. Paul Heyman could be holding some truth and telling some lies, and Solo Sikoa could be doing the exact same thing as well. Everyone just appears to be hiding secrets from each other, and we're to assume that it'll all blow up in everyone's face sometime down the line. Uncle Howdy and his family revealed a big teaser on the May 10th edition of SmackDown that made some references to the past and history of Bray Wyatt. The teaser had this to say, quote, "They put us in the cave, told us to behold the glory. We watched in awe, consumed their lies. We were never the chosen ones, left in the cave to rot, to be forgotten. But he set us free. Now we understand. We follow the prophecy, the words of the Red. Soon you will understand the tears we shed, watered our antipathy and blossomed a garden of revulsion. There is no safe space, only my family." End quote. So once again, we see a lot of usage of the words like us, they, and we, but the last line closes by saying, "only my family," which is likely a big clue that all of these words are from Uncle Howdy's mouth, since he's the one leading his new family and faction. So when he says that he set them free and how they're following the prophecy, that could be a reference to Bray Wyatt. The words of red is interesting too, because that could be understood in many different ways. The color red obviously played a big role during Bray Wyatt's days as the Fiend. There were some instances where he made his Fiend entrance under the red light, and even times where the Fiend Bray Wyatt wrestled full matches under the red light. So some fans think that red could be a light reference to the Fiend, but the message of the group becomes more clear by the week. These are all individuals that were deemed outcasts by upper management and the rest of the locker room. They were never given a fair shot at success. Like they even said themselves, all they ever wanted was just a chance. But they never got that chance, so that led to them being discovered by Uncle Howdy, and it looks like they're all still following that foundation of what Bray Wyatt has laid out over the years. Another very interesting detail came from the opening moments of this teaser. The teaser opened up with the new WWE intro scene, and very quietly hidden within that opening scene was a mysterious figure that fans believe to be Sister Abigail. It's a very small detail, a blink if you miss it sort of thing, but it's still in there and very interesting to see. We'll have to wait and see what the next upcoming teasers will reveal next about the group. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.